let's get to the Trump-Netanyahu back and forth, because this is a big point of contention. The girlies are seemingly fighting between Israel and Donald Trump. There are some points of contention. Let's take a look.
The US has been pursuing major policy initiatives without including Israel. It's talked with Hamas over the release of American captives. It's talking with Iran on limiting its nuclear program. And it's talked with the Houthis about their disruption of international shipping rather than their attacks on Israel. It's not a surprise. It's Trump's America First doctrine, which is also why his upcoming visit to the Middle East includes Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Qatar, but not Israel, despite its requests. Can't offer Trump the kind of deals he's hoping to sign in the Gulf.
I'll say a couple things here. I don't trust Donald Trump at all, but I do know how he works. And I think there's a limit to how annoyed he gets with being bullied and being yelled at. And maybe that motivated him a little bit to change course, to change trajectory. Or perhaps this is another like silly move to optically change the situation to make it seem like he's in charge here. Benjamin Netanyahu is so annoying, and Trump is such a petty bitch that I could potentially see Trump being like, yeah, this. Daniel Goldman, congressman from New York 10, the district in the House of Representatives, Congressman Dan Goldman. The Trump admin can try and gaslight us with hollow words, but actions speak louder. Fired Waltz because he was too hawkish on Iran. Entered into a deal with the Houthis that excludes Israel. Pursuing Saudi deal without Israel normalization. Trump is abandoning Israel. Who cares? Like, what are you, insane? What is this? Like, when I see Democratic Party congressperson criticizing Trump in this way, I'm like, dude, you're an American congressperson. Like, what the are you saying? What are you saying? What are you doing here? How psychotic?
You know, they'll go around saying, oh, this is so terrible. What you do it is you're giving up something up top in order to make people in the middle income and the lower income brackets save more. So it's really a redistribution. And I'm willing to do it if they want. I would love to be able to give people in a lower bracket a big break by giving up some of what I have. But
Trump wants to tax the rich and decouple us from Israel and reinsert the Iran denuclearization agreement. Marxist Trump, he's back. Central Committee said today, as we discussed, when it's smart to declare bankruptcy. People laughed at the fact that Trump has 6 bankruptcies, but I saw as a shrewd operator who knows what the system has to offer and how to get it. And I think Bibi went too far up his ass, so he's pulling back for leverage. Or what do you think? You know Trump better than anyone. I just don't trust Trump. I think he's totally captured by these guys. He's a shrewd operator, sure, but he's also a very basic man. There are 2 demons inside of Donald Trump. The one demon is Trump's own narcissistic desires of wanting to be liked and not getting bullied by someone who he has leverage over.
Israel's typical strategy of pressuring US presidents by using other politicians as counterweights has not worked either. Netanyahu and his strategic affairs minister Ron Dermer thought they had a back channel into the White House via former national security advisor Mike Waltz, who was a traditional Republican foreign policy hawk. But Trump dismissed Waltz for coordinating with Israel about potentially striking Iran without him. The rest of Trump's cabinet believed that the US should either reduce its force abroad or redirect it to China. And whereas Netanyahu used congressional Republicans to try and corner Obama, he can't do the same now. Republicans are all loyal to Trump, and so there's no one to outflank the president with from the right. The two remain in cooperation over Iran nuclear talks and plans to bring aid into Gaza, for example. But the US seems to be making its own decisions on the region, leaving Israel to catch up afterwards. It seems Netanyahu is finding out that America first really does mean America first, even for its closest ally.
We got to dive a little bit deeper into this, because U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee, who is a real freak, he's more pro-Israel than most like ultra-Zionist Jews are, okay? Because he's an evangelical Christian, and those guys are like some of the biggest freaks when it comes to Israel. They don't necessarily care about Jews at all. I mean, obviously they don't. They just care about like sending Jews either by force or voluntarily to the greater Israel so that they can trigger the rapture. Even he came out strong and said it's reckless and irresponsible for press to allege that POTUS and Israeli Prime Minister are not getting along. Bibi has spent more time with real Donald Trump than I have in the past 3 months, and I'm his ambassador. He also literally said Israel doesn't get to dictate American foreign policy. We do. I just don't see Donald Trump genuinely saying like, Israel, we're going to do this our way. They're just not responsible partners in all of this. But maybe it was Ron Dermer that pissed him off. I don't know. Israeli right-wing Telegram has started Hamas posting saying Donald Trump is Hamas. The through lines here is that he, A, wants to prevent anything that will make him get off the couch. B, understands at some level that ending global chaos was one of his biggest promises. And C, hates a lot of the people that want the escalation the most. There's also the fact that the solutions here are extraordinarily simple and were only avoided by Biden because his ideological commitment to Zionism and defense to Israel, deference to Israel, is It's funny that the end state here is just going back to Obama 2's policies and endgame towards the Middle East after Trump was the one who went through with Republican efforts to completely disavow and destroy them. This fact is also the biggest reason to be skeptical that he will actually follow through with any reversal from the consensus that he created. He seems to have realized that the end state of his track was always been at war with Iran, but not articulating a different path. Yeah, I don't think there's a real Trump versus Netanyahu situation. This is all pretense ahead of the joint U.S.-Israeli war on Iran that is now imminent and will be done at the this is why you're only seeing some mild faint anger from Zionists. They're pathetically trying to establish the element of surprise ahead of the launch, but you would have to be a idiot to fall for it. I don't believe the Iranians are. When I said in January that Trump ceasefire is bullshit, that the genocide would continue, I was right, and the reason I was right is because it was materialist analysis of Zionist hegemony dictated it, as it does with the Iran war.
If I went to the Middle East and visited Israel and I was killed, somebody shot me there, do you think there'd be any accountability? Seriously. If any of you went to the Middle East and were killed, do you think there'd be accountability? There wouldn't be. This is how outrageous this situation is. Just think about the Liberty. Think about Rachel Corrie. Think about this Turkish American who was just killed in the flotilla. There's no accountability. Israelis can do almost anything and get away with it. So the idea that opacity matters, I don't think so. The lobby basically believes it can finesse any issue. They've never seen an issue that they can't finesse.
Mersheimer isn't wrong. And I think a big part of that, like I said, is because Israel greatly escalated its sophisticated influence operations after the dissolution of the South African apartheid because they learned from the mistakes. That's precisely where we're at. Israel also is a much more valuable ally than South Africa is due to its geopolitical condition. Trump's approach to foreign policy is pretty straightforward. It's all about what can you do for me and what have you done for me lately. Trump wants to head the Middle East, looking for rewards and achievements. Netanyahu offers him only headaches while asking for handouts. Yeah, I think he wants like an interim W. And Netanyahu's not giving it to him. But a week prior to this cutoff, he met with Ron Dermer, who some believe is going to be the next up. He also referred to a meeting that took place in April between Israel's Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer and senior Republican lawmakers in Washington. During that meeting, Dermer reportedly told him what Trump ought to do, which angered the president. I guess like Donald Trump being who he is and having a short fuse about people telling him what he can and can't do could be a part of the reason for the resentment. Ron Dermer could potentially be Benjamin Netanyahu's successor. When Netanyahu came to Congress and demanded the U.S. invade Iraq, which he guaranteed would have enormous positive reverberations, sitting right next to him was Ron Dermer. I think Benjamin Netanyahu's like successor list is short. It's potentially that guy. What's the other like Mossad guy? Chat knows his name. I'm forgetting now. Yossi Cohen, I think, is the guy. Yeah. Earlier on Thursday, Israel Hayim quoted sources close to Trump saying he's disappointed with Netanyahu and plans to proceed with steps in the Middle East without waiting for him. Sources added that Trump is particularly interested in decisions that would advance U.S. interests, especially concerning Saudi Arabia and other Gulf countries. According to Israel Hayom, some of the planned steps aren't believed to relate to the long-anticipated U.S. brokered normalization between Israel and Saudi Arabia.